At this point, I'm going to bring in the Swampert and try to immediately sack the Articuno, which we do successfully. He has 3 Pokemon and a shield versus 1 Swampert. Can we get out of this? Once again, it's Swampert against an Obstagoon with 2 shields. Let's see what happens here. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we do upload PvP content every single day, so please consider subscribing to the channel if you're into that type of content. And if you're a returning subscriber like my man Joker, thank you for your support. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some matches using the team I've been climbing up the ranks with: Giratina, Articuno, and Swampert. And we got an amazing first match here against Caleb Peng, one of the best players in the world. And if you don't know Caleb, I'll put a link in the description. I'm pretty sure all of you already know who he is. So he's leading Swampert into our Giratina. And if you saw his video today, he's actually running a team of Swampert, Articuno, and Cresselia. Now, at the time of this match, I had no idea what his team was, because this was before he put that video out, of course. This was from 2 days ago, I believe, this match. So switches into the Cresselia, and I switch out into Articuno here. Now you could say maybe I should have stayed in that matchup because it's kind of favorable for Giratina. Had I known he had an Articuno in the back, 100% I'm going to stay in that match. But obviously we didn't know that at the time, and I had no idea what his third Pokemon was. Was probably expecting something spicy because it's Caleb, but let's find out. So I go for these Icy Winds here. And pretty much by switching out the Giratina, I would think that the Cresselia is probably the hardest counter for that, but turns out that it won't be. So Moonblast comes through, and no attack debuff there. So we are going to go here, and I was clicking on the Ancient Power, but the animation for the Ice Shard did not finish, so he actually got to his charge move before us, which is a little bit unfortunate because we have to now shield. And there we got the attack buff, so our attack did fall, which was a little bit unfortunate for us. So he did get the attack debuff. So I'm going to go for the Ancient Power here. And now we get the attack, we get the boost with the Ancient Power. So we kind of canceled out that attack debuff that he gave us, and now we have higher defense as well, so it's amazing. And this Swampert's going to have to throw Hydro Cannons here. So at this point I have a decision to make. Do I want to shield and go for one more Icy Wind on the Swampert, or do I want to let it go down? I decided to let it go down because I was thinking that unless he has something that like really hard walls Giratina in the back, I should be in a pretty good situation. Turns out that's exactly what he has. He has an Articuno. So I'm just going for the Shadow Sneak here, which is definitely a mistake. I should be going for Dragon Claws because they both do the same amount of damage and for less energy. So in the moment I was kind of panicking, so I'm like, oh my god, he has an Articuno, what am I going to do? So he goes for the Icy Wind. I choose to burn the shield there. And basically the reason I chose to burn the shield is because I figured that I was going to need that Giratina in the back for the Cresselia, but at this point in time I was like, I literally felt this match was over and I had no idea what I was really doing. So I'm just going for Hydro Cannons here, trying to lower this Articuno as much as I can. I also had to switch out the Giratina to reset its debuffs. So we do get to one more Hydro Cannon here, which is really good. And this Articuno, I would expect to switch out at some point back into the Cresselia. So it's what Caleb did there was actually really smart. He stored enough energy, or at least very close to an Icy Wind, which is going to be preserved for the Giratina once it comes back in. So his Swampert comes back in, and now I'm in a decent position here, but obviously Earthquake would really hurt. So I'm going for the Dragon Claws here. He should have pretty much no energy on his Swampert, so this is going to be really close. And he definitely wants to go for the Earthquake here, because Hydro Cannon would probably help as well in just getting the Ice Wind down, but Earthquake's going to end the match. So I actually commit to the farm down here. Very aggressive farm down. He definitely had enough for a Hydro Cannon, I feel. And was probably just one short of a Earthquake. And here it's literally a race to who gets to the charge move first. And he actually gets there before us. Icy Wind is going to come through. That's actually going to lower our attack. Not sure if Dragon Claw would have KO'd here had it not been for that. But realistically, we probably could have won with the Shadow Claw if we got off that Dragon Claw first. It would have been very close. But either way, amazing game. GG's to Caleb, and a very well-deserved win for him. Daniel DJ 1823 is up next. Gonna lead Giratina into Obstagoon. So this is a pretty bad lead for us, obviously. and I'm going to switch out into the Articuno here. Would expect this to be a Night Slash. Obstagoon fishing for that boost, and obviously it's the more efficient move to use in that situation. Our opponent switches out into Swampert, which actually is pretty good for us because Articuno actually does really well against Swampert. So when they switch out into this, it gives me the impression that they probably don't have any counters for Articuno or an Ice type in general, which is something that I usually suffer from on my teams. So we're just going to farm here, and this Swampert is getting to Hydro Cannons extremely quick, very quick. You guys probably saw that video with the Melmetal doing a lot of rock slides. Probably not that quick, but that seems really quick. Either way, just playing around there. But we do get off the Icy Wind, and pretty crazy actually that they took down GPL, disabled the whole thing temporarily. Crazy exploit going on. So Hydro Cannon does come through, and at this point, you can see this Swampert is actually getting. This is pretty crazy how many Hydro Cannons this Swampert is getting, and very quickly. I would have to look over this again to see if it's if anything's going on there, but I did actually click on that Icy Wind by accident. Not by accident, but like we CMP tied, which I did not want. So I didn't charge all to get off an extra Icy Wind. He actually switches out, so now he has it available as a sack swap, which is a little problematic for me. We're in a really bad situation now. We're down to shield as well, so I bring in Giratina to face this Cresselia and going for the Shadow Sneak. Moonblast obviously going to hurt, and we have no shields here. So this is a really bad spot for us, and it's going to be really difficult to get out of this. Fortunately for us, we did get that Icy Wind on the Cresselia, which means that these Moonblasts aren't going to be hurting the Giratina as much, and we could possibly take 2 as opposed to 2 normally knocking us out. So another Moonblast is going to come through here. And you can see it actually does not KO, and that's the amazing part of having that Icy Wind on Articuno right before you switch out to lower that if they're locked into that matchup. So Obstagoon comes back in, and at this point I'm going to bring in the Swampert and try to immediately sack the Articuno, which we do successfully, and that was huge for us because we needed to get rid of that energy, and now we have an opportunity. We're still down. He has 3 Pokemon and a shield versus 1 Swampert. Can we get out of this? Let's find out. So Night Slash comes through. Obviously Night Slash is not doing a lot, but I'm farming a lot of energy here, going for this Hydro Cannon. His switch timer is probably very close to getting up, so I'm throwing this Earthquake immediately because I do not want to catch the switch. Earthquake comes through and it actually KOs the Obstagoon, and he has 2 Pokemon who are extremely low. I can't even see what, this is the Cresselia, but I couldn't even see that it came in because it was invisible. There's literally no Pokemon there. Hydro Cannon hits the invisible Cresselia that magically reappeared, and we end up taking that match in crazy fashion. Crazy win, and Jamie S550 is the next matchup here. Obviously these matches are not all from the same set. These are from 2 sets, and just taking some of the more interesting matches and putting them together here. So we have a Giratina mirror match here, and we are going to lose the CMP tie there, it looked like. So we have a lower attack stat than the opposing Giratina, of course. I get off the Dragon Claw here. We're both running Shadow Claw, so let's see what happens. Usually when I'm in this match, I try to see who gets into the yellow first. As you can see, our opponent actually did get into the yellow first, which means that I should have a higher HP stat than he does. And in a lot of situations, this will actually mean that I will win this mirror. So we go for the Dragon Claw here. Interestingly enough, we actually ended up losing the spike getting into the yellow first, so must have been some missed quick attacks there, or fast moves. And going to bring in the Articuno here to farm down. Dragon Claw comes through, does nothing, and we get a little bit of energy on that Articuno at least. So both of us still have 2 shields. Opponent brings in Cresselia, and we have a bit of an energy leak, so we're going to get off this Icy Wind here. This is going to lower the attack, and we are in a pretty decent situation here despite losing the lead in that Giratina mirror. So I would expect this to most likely be a Moonblast, but Future Sight would hurt. Because he's debuffed, probably going to be a Moonblast. So it is, we go for another Icy Wind here. Really lowering the opponent's attack and applying pressure onto them to make a decision as to whether or not they want to switch out, reset that, or just stay in the match. Probably makes more sense to stay in the match. This could be a Future Sight, which would really hurt. So I did choose to shield there. And at this point, you can make the argument to go for the Ancient Power and try to get the boost to see if we want to keep on shielding, but chose not to. Just go for the Icy Wind. And we're not able to farm down there, which kind of sucks because we are going to have to shield. But the main reason I shield here is because I know I'm going to be able to get off that Icy Wind onto whatever comes in next. They actually switched out, which is really smart, because it is going to allow them to reset the debuff at some point later in this match. And once again, we're in a really tricky spot. We are down 2 shields to the opponent, and once again, it's Swampert against an Articuno with 2 shields. Let's see what happens here. So I'm going to go for the Hydro Cannon. Obviously, this Articuno is going to commit shields, and at some point, you're going to have to expect the sack swap attempt with the Cresselia. So what do I do here? I build up the Hydro Cannon. I know I have to burn both 2 shields first, but now I'm starting to be a little bit aware of the switch timer, and I know that he is eventually going to try to sack swap. So I did not throw the energy because I knew that was going to happen, and we're able to do this because we know that the Night Slash would not KO Swampert there, so we could be a little bit more aggressive in not going for the charge route. And as you can see there, he did attempt the sack swap. We farmed down with Mud Shot, and we're able to win that game once he came back in with the Hydro Cannon. So good awareness there on knowing what the opponent's plan was, and we ended up taking that game. So next matchup, another difficult lead, Giratina into Registeel. And obviously Giratina could beat Registeel, but it requires the use of shields. And a lot of times the way I like to play this matchup is to actually not shield at all and bring that Registeel down as low as possible to the point where it's in the red. And once he uses energy, I will bring in the Swampert once my Giratina faints and go for a very aggressive farm down. A lot of times they'll actually switch out of that, so they're giving up switch advantage because they do not want the Swampert to get that much energy. So that actually is very interesting if you actually use both shields in this Giratina Registeel match, because if you could get our opponents use both shields, we use both shields, and they end up maintaining switch advantage, actually Giratina would win in 2 shields, so probably unlikely to happen there. But our opponent actually switched out there into the Gyarados, so they did give us the switch advantage. Unfortunately, we don't have the greatest counters for Gyarados, but Articuno is pretty good, and this is going to come down to pretty much whatever is in the back for them. So I'm going to go for Icy Wind here, and of course we are going to be debuffing the attack on this Gyarados, and they're actually choosing not to shield, so that makes me think that they're most likely going to be committing those 2 shields for whatever is in the back. And Crunch comes through. I'm going to let that go through, of course. Try to see if I can commit to a very aggressive farm down here. We are able to, so we have the Icy Wind ready. Let's see what he's going to bring in now. Will he bring in the Registeel, or will he bring the Clefable? He brings in the Registeel. Okay, so we go for the Icy Wind here. This is a little bit unfortunate because and this is obviously dependent on us not knowing what his third Pokemon is. As we're going to see shortly, it does make quite a difference. We actually chose to shield that Flash Cannon. The main reason I did that was because I wanted to debuff this Clefable, or whatever. I didn't know it was Clefable, but I wanted to debuff whatever came in. But in doing so, I gave up another 2-0 shield disadvantage. And this actually isn't the worst because Swampert against Clefable is pretty good. And because that charm is actually debuffed, this is a decent situation. The main issue is that the Clefable is going to get to a charge move, which is a little bit unfortunate. Now, had we not used that shield on the Articuno there, we could have ended up winning this match, of course, with the 1 shield against 2. But we did not know they had a Clefable in the back, so, you know, a lot easier to see with 20/20 vision. So the Zams is up next, and as you can see, Clefable proved to be a little bit difficult there in the back for us with that charm damage. So another Giratina mirror match here, and we're just going to go straight for Dragon Claws. This is another Shadow Claw variant in the opposing Giratina. So let's see, does it look like we have CMP here? We're going to find out. So opponent's going to go for the Dragon Claw here, and we go for our own Dragon Claw. Let's see if the shield comes out. It does, so our opponent actually chose to shield there. And at this point, I actually think that I could win in this match in the even shield situation. I'm assuming I probably have CMP tie here, but he actually got to the Dragon Claw before we even got to our next one. So I must have missed a fast move there somewhere. because we should definitely be reaching Dragon Claws at the same time, but it is what it is. I go for the Dragon Claw here. Let's see if he chooses to shield. He does. So now we are both at 0 shields, and as you can see there, he actually did have CMP tie. So very good play on his part to make it look like I'd see. He probably has 15 attack, I'd imagine. And I'm able to bring an Articuno here. So this isn't the worst situation. 2 shields. If he has a Registeel, obviously the game is pretty much over. But he does not have a Registeel, he has an Escavalier. So this is actually quite good for us. Not because the matchup is so favorable. It would be very favorable if we had Hurricane, but we do not. But just because it's not a Registeel, and not seeing a Registeel makes that perfect. So our opponent farmed up a lot of energy and actually switched out. And again, we see another Clefable here, and I bring in Swampert. And this is basically a repeat of the last match. So I'm very aggressively farming here. This actually looks like a very good spot for us to be in, because we should be able to get to another Hydro Cannon before that Clefable gets to charge move, which we are able to get to. And Clefable goes down. Now the main issue here is that this Escavalier farmed up so much energy for a Mega Horn. And that Mega Horn is going to put in a lot of work. So it KOs, and now this is pretty much a very, very close match. And we're going to go for the IC win here, but it does look like the opponent's actually going to be able to counter us down and end up winning this game from counters. So we end up losing that matchup, and Sota Sanana is the next matchup here. And going to be leading Giratina into the Registeel, so another unfavorable lead. And as we've seen before, there are multiple ways to play this match. Depends if you want to win the match, if you want to lose the match, leave the Registeel with some energy or some health to farm. Really depends on the way you want to play it. So lately, the way I've been playing this is just I don't really mind losing the lead. If I win the lead, that's great. But I'm totally fine with either way, just because I feel that the team core in the back could perform quite well against the rest of the line. It does get quite difficult if they have a hard counter for Articuno, but most of the time Registeel is going to be the hardest counter, and because it's in the front, there shouldn't be too much of an issue in the back for Articuno. Lapras, of course, would be detrimental to the team. Registeel Lapras sort of combo destroys this line. And as you can see here, we're just going for the Shadow Sneaks. We're extremely low right now, and this Registeel is going to KO at some point. But we actually got to a second Shadow Sneak. This Registeel probably has so much energy right now, and it lets it go down. So we end up winning that. Togekiss comes in. So this is actually very good for us because we could just bring an Articuno. They switch into Armored Mewtwo, which honestly I have not been seeing a lot of this season. There has not been too many Armored Mewtwo's at all, and I did lower the attack, so I bring in the Swampert here. What I've been doing recently is trying to time my attacks on confusions. You know, it's a 4-turn fast move, and I've really been trying to exploit that of late. So I'm really counting those turns, trying to maximize my damage. And as you can see here, we actually performed quite well. So we did get off this Hydro Cannon, and the Side Strike is going to come through here. At this point, I actually do let it go through, and we actually ended up surviving because of that Icy Wind that we hit earlier on the Mewtwo. So that Icy Wind came through clutch, and Togekiss comes back in. At this point, we could actually pretty much just commit to a farm down here if we wanted to, but we go for the Icy Wind to apply pressure on that last shield. They let it go through, and the Mewtwo is pretty much done at this point. We could just shield anything if it actually gets a charge move. It does, so we'll shield this, and we will Ice Shard down for the victory. So we end up taking that match there. And I believe there's one more match. Yes, this is the last match in the video against the Black Luffy 92. So we are going to be leading Giratina into the Escavalier. And obviously it's a great matchup for us. They switch into their own Giratina. So I'm going to get off one Dragon Claw and then switch out into the Articuno. And this is an amazing situation for us to be in, of course. So Articuno comes in. Dragon Claw is going to come through. And we are just going to continue farming here with the Icy Wind. Another Dragon Claw is going to come through here. So it's pretty interesting how Giratina, despite being in such an unfavorable situation, actually does so much damage still. So I did undercharge there because I did not want to KO, but I did not know he had another charge move ready. There's been so many people getting charge moves like crazy in these videos. So I don't think there was anything fishy there, but it just seems like a lot. So we go for the Icy Wind, and this Escavalier is going to counter. Like obviously if they were exploiting, they would have got off like 8 Dragon Claws or something. Like I just, you know, it seems like a lot. Probably because it's in such a high speed here, it seems like a lot. But definitely nothing going on there. So they bring in Clefable, and this is the 3rd Clefable in a row actually. There are a lot of Clefables in this video, I just realized. So gonna go for the Hydro Cannons here. The good part about this matchup between Swampert and Clefable is that Swampert just charges energy so quickly. And we still have 2 shields, so I'm gonna waste one here, knowing that I'm 100% going to get to that Hydro Cannon. Could actually overfarm a little bit here before we send off this Hydro Cannon. Let's see if the opponent chooses to shield. They actually do, which was pretty crazy, and they actually KO'd. So it was a great play on their part because we have the Giratina in the back, and they actually preserved that Clefable in the back. So what I have to do here is commit to this. Well, I didn't shield there yet. Well, I think I should have shielded. Well, I'm gonna have to shield at some point because I'm gonna commit to a super aggressive farm down here. So we have to commit to a farm down and then just throw the Shadow Sneak at the Clefable, and that should be game. So we save the shield here, commit to the farm down, we have the Shadow Sneak ready, click that right away, and this is going to knock out the Clefable, and we're going to take up that game despite it getting very close there. So GG's all around. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, commenting, subscribing to the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.